Juban zeno nandra zinje la shino gamje kambra sumba shino gala jaye meba don chendo do do jiba niga jemba mebra zinje la mago gamje go sumba meba jego jiba lama la jenda sowa jiba gam jume mogo jevra zinje la yeme gamje moja sumba moja doba o sumba te maju devra joba Ganza lodan java zenje la nanto ngo chibu sumba ye chiyo ma ye chiyo java la panga ropa java konde ye me tobra zenje la chiwa gende yonda la ma dame jeje bala longje je sada lamje yende doje change go nya do yo da do zenje damje lo chu son ro wa zenje lo do so chom dan ro wa zenje lo do so lang zhe ba se wa zenje lo do so zhe ba ye shi ze jia wa zenje lo do so da do zenje lo chu son ro wa zenje lo do so chu long dan ro wa zenje lo do so lang zhe ba se wa zenje lo do Chaba ye chi se java zen je lo do so da do si bien dan je lo ju san do wa zen je lo do so ju lang dan do wa zen je lo do so lang chaba chaba ye chi se java zen je lo do ye de jen guan dong ba chaba nang ka ta ye me chi chi ye chi chen java chen me lang wan java ya sa pa nang chi ye ta de ten me ki chi ye ka je ku lo chen pa kun ne mong ban je tu xa ju zo wo de la de chi zo ka ke ra chi ko chi ye zi bu we tong du da Yao Tenpa Kanye Sanze Pa Kaji Rumbu Chala Chaji Yende Sanje Kanto Nyal Kati Sanje Kena La Banga Banga Zawa Lama Rumbu Je Tasan Do Lana Chula Sanje Sanje Njawa Sanje Sanje Bata Dana Jasa Je Ataka Chunte Je Bata Nani Dola Banta Sanje Ndobra Chiwa Be Mani Da Dinten Da Zawa Lama Wajen Do Je Jawa Je Dinten Da Je Dinten Ya Lama Kanto Sanje Kama Be Saje Chimpa Udu Saje So Ye Ta Kendo Udu Demo Udu Jendo So Je Kendo Jendo Je Jawa Tano Na Je Kendo Sa Je Kendo Ye Taje Kaba Taje Raba Te Taje Sanjen Rupa Nisa Kama Bajina 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 Kama Bajana Kama Bajana Kama Bajana Kama Bajana Lama Vijaro Sayame Tasa Sanje Jengo Jane Ganda Jedanye Kade Nyame Jelana Lama Jeje Sanje Jengo Jane Ganda Jedanye Kade Nyame Jelana Lama Jeje Sanje Jengo Jane Ganda Jedanye Kade Nyame Jelana Lama Jeje On a Nagada, Numbers and Jedon, Angelana, by Yandabodo, Sunday Jacomo, Bachelor, Janet and Gaba. Terrace, the Tombuch in the New Saying, the Singatonia, the Jivazo, Numbers, some Bazoji, the Jibar and Budget, Saturday, December. Tell constant Bazaar. Thank you for having me for this teaching, or almost like I'm not so good about timing, but maybe monthly, because it's a lot of liberation for me. So I get to say, well, I have to teach, And behind me, you can see there are a lot of texts, and this is the collection of Kamachami Rinpoche, and 2019, this was the big highlight about having this full transformation at KTD. And feel like one of the most important Rinpoche's wish was fulfilled, because he ever since he taught the Mountain Dharma, Chami Richu, and Rinpoche received had the collection of Chami Rinpoche's teaching, and then he often read the text, and he often study, and he often taught based on Chami Rinpoche's collection. So that's why all these webcast teachings he gave about stupa or lamp offering and everything based on Chami Rinpoche's collection. And he really wanted to have this reading transmission at KTD, and he has said that because KTD we have many Kembos and also Lamas, and if they receive this very special transmission, and they would benefit many beings. He constantly encouraged me to, let's say, maybe not encourage, I mentioned my name as well, because I don't, I wouldn't say that because I would be the transmitter, but because I can read fast, I can read really, really fast. So we said that, if you have this transmission, then that will be really, very, very good. So you can give this in the future. And also encouraged me to receive the entire Kanju, the 103 volumes of Buddha's teaching, in Rente Monastery. That was I become a lay Lama. So he still pushed me to do this stuff. And I really, it was one of the memorable time in the Rente Monastery, because the master who gave the transmission was Sanji Nyemba Rinpoche, and he reads so fast. but you can hear every syllable he's reading. That is almost like, it's so hard to read fast and also read so clearly, but he was very, very special. And so during that reading transformation of Kanju, and it is like it starts at 8 a.m. and then maybe goes until about 6 p.m. So it lasted about 2 months, and because Rinpoche, put a lot of effort to send me there, and I kind of I made vow not to sleep, or to fall in an instant. It's a little bit hard to sit up for that many hours, like but that is after. I remember the first I got to Rente Monastery, and I was arranged to stay with Kembo Ojin and another Kembo, and really nice place. It was arranged by Leshila, Penlarumbuch's mother. That's actually Penlarumbuch's headquarters, or let's say his house, or at the monastery. And so I was staying with Kimbala, and the other. So I got there with jet lag, and then we went to bed, and I only slept 5 minutes the entire night, because these are the two champions of snoring. So I don't want. I mean, it's just constant. Trying to do meditation, but couldn't do anything. There was no mention about self-liberation. I mean, that's the topic tonight, So it was. So the next day, I said, actually, I said jokingly to Kimball, I said, I'm really here to listen in the reading transmission and not your snore. And I said, I really respect you guys, and I will listen whatever advice. I will try to listen, but not this. No. So I just to find a different place, I moved right away. Then start to receive transmission, and then I normally get up like 5 a.m., more 4:30 a.m. or 5 a.m. and because this is a very sacred place, Runte Monastery, so this seat of His Holiness 16th Karmapa. And there I do the circumambulation of the monastery, and then there's a cemetery, graveyard or cemetery nearby, and it was blessed by His Holiness 16th Karmapa, the four Victoria's sons, and they also cremate deceased people there, and so I go there and do a little cure practice, and so one day I went. I mean, it's a little bit of a scary place because it's a little further from the monastery. So you go there, and so one day I went there, and I was doing a little short cure practice based on the ocean of definitive meaning by the ninth Karmapa. There's a session talk about the cure practice, and you have to also shout, pay like that. You have to. Excuse me. So I did that, and I didn't really see, but there was there was a dog. Screamed so hard when I said, "Hey," and that car, that the dog really scared me really bad. I was jumping myself. I mean, if you do your practice, you can't. But I was really scared. But anyway, so I don't want to talk too many stories, but it reminds me, Rinpoche, that he worked so hard for each students and lamas who done 3 year retreat. He put always the effort to make better person, taught everything, and regardless how we act, we especially myself is he gave me room for mistakes. He gave me so many. He was very generous, and so the Chami Rinpoche collection behind me is a gift from the Vajra master who gave the transmission. And Rinpoche himself, even though he wasn't feeling so well, he was he received, or let's say he never skipped any session, and he was so diligent. He couldn't be in public downstairs, but we had this uh, uh, radio that goes to his room. He wants to hear this, so he was every day he was there. Even though he wasn't feeling well, time to time he doesn't. And then we finished the Kamanchami transmission, and completely or successfully. No one got sick, or the Vajra master, everybody. And Rinpoche was so happy. He was overjoyed. And so, after the transmission finished, then I went upstairs, like, just, and he just was so happy, and he, hold my hand and bless him with his forehead, as he always do with every other students, and then hold me long time and said that you did a great job. This was his, very special wish or aspiration to have this transmission. And he said that he was himself was so fortunate to receive this transmission, and so I immediately told him, that this is the blessing of His Holiness Karmapa and your own blessing, and everybody's effort. So that was my last conversation with Rinpoche, before he passed away. And so this Kamachami's collection, including the Mountain Dharma, and it's a very special, unique, special collection, and it has everything, from every teaching, or even science, let's say, like medicine or grammar. I'm not so good about pronouncing. I say grammar, grammar. You understand? And so one of the teachings Rinpoche taught was the unity of Mahamudra and Dzogchen, and so that particular teaching, as well as this teaching by one of the Drupakaji master, Tselem Natsurondu, talk about Mahamudra, and related with what I will try to explain tonight about self-liberation. And this topic, I think, is very unique and also very vast. It could relate to any part of Buddha's teaching, because every teaching that Buddha taught is not about meditation. Even a concept such as the 10 virtuous actions, or let's say compassion. For example, like the moment you have a sense of compassion to someone, a pure compassion, uh, that is a temporary self-liberation of stress, or self-liberation of uh, anger, especially. If we have, that's we call virtuous actions. If you have a thought of compassion, thought of bodhicitta, thought of devotion, and that is we call temporary liberation of negativity. And let's give an example. According to the teachings, that our mind only works in a certain way. Our mind is very interesting. How do you say? Interesting entity. If you have I don't if you heard or like watching news or something, and then you can see what's going on out there, like people losing job, people, especially these days. Actually, it's so much suffering out there, and if you have a sense of this individual is suffering, this particular people are suffering, and I wish I could help. You kind of have this mindset. I want to pray. So why are you thinking this process? Oh, this individual, recognizing this individual or these people who are suffering, and then recognizing their suffering is, pretty severe, and doesn't have much. Help, or it doesn't have much choice. So you have this sense of compassion, sense of willingness to help, but you can't help physically, but you also have this, as a Buddhist, I wish that this person free from suffering, you are sending prayer. So all this process of your mind is a temporary self-liberation from, let's say self-liberation, because you are not self-centered at that time. So our mind only could think certain thoughts in that moment. It doesn't really. You can't have two, one negative, angry, and one is compassion together. So meditation is of course, the other ultimate liberation, but also these concepts, having compassion and devotion, and saying maybe even like your own family says something, comfort, right? Sometimes family is family. There always can be like there's an example, kind of saying in Tibet, let's say, not example, saying in Tibet that it's like if you have a bag full of glass bottles, or maybe metals, they constantly grinding each other and making a lot of noise. And then the moment you take your time, be patient, a little bit separate, or maybe just put something between a little patch, right? And so it reduces some of those noise or grinding each other. And so if you recognize that your loved one, we always, name as loved ones. If you know this person, your wife or husband or your partner or your family, someone is suffering, and you may not like their attitude, you may not like their things that they say, but that is the uh, reflection of their sorrow, reflection of their suffering. And so if we, as a practitioner, supposed to kind of step up, or let's say a little bit, has to be a little above in terms of mentality. So the other individual is in good mood, bad mood, and stressed, and then express the sorrow through through frustration or anger towards us, actually. And instead of become use ourselves as a target, that's how we normally, everything what the person says, if you're trying to defend yourself, and then you become a target, and then you're constantly hurting by those arrow-like words or reactions. So instead, it's important to be like what's the all of a sudden I have this blank of thoughts. Maybe that is self-liberation. I think I don't have a really finishing example for that. So because I thought I was saying really nice things about, then I couldn't finish it. So, I recognize that. But instead of the person's, thinking, oh, this person, it's just the attitude is so bad. What's going on? Are you bad mood? We have to step up, thinking that, this is the projection of this person's suffering. This person has no place to express, but they express to someone they trust, someone they love. So, so instead of we just, taking this so seriously, thinking that, oh, this is really unbelievable. Well, we have to think, oh, this is actually good opportunity, right? Good opportunity to exercise what I'm trying to read about, Buddha's teaching, what I received teaching from teachers. This is the opportunity, this is the even like teachings has mentioned that the enemies or someone constantly making you, troubling you and upset and frustrate you are the best friend, best friend according to your practice, because you cannot achieve enlightenment without patience. So definition of patience means nothing kind of happening. The person is doing, but you become like as Shantideva mentioned, become like a tree. How much you yell or how much you complain to a tree, they're just very stable and doesn't affect. And that is temporary self-liberation, because you are basically challenging the self instead of supporting self, because self is very very uh, dangerous actually. Self is uh, selfish or self. It's very dangerous because as long as you cherish yourself, things that you said, things that you do, as long as you cherish and also you try to defend everything what you think is right. Sometimes it can be very, blind uh, action or blind, very blindly supporting yourself. It's not really helping something. So, so that is my kind of self-liberation perspective of temporary is, release of tension or anger or frustration, because this is not like a sit on meditation, right? You have to face the world or your family or everybody, day to day life, day to day life. And one of the teaching in 7 point mind training said that I think I also talked this topic about, talked about this topic is a likable in Tibetan. It's likable or just every. It doesn't matter. I mean, I also, I watch YouTube a lot. Believe it or not, and or movie like Netflix, and when people get married, right, and you go to church, and there's this recitation. I'm sure there's special title for that. It says that I will be there, whether uh, you are sick or you are happy or unhappy, or, whatever you manifest, I be there, to support. So I know I'm talking about the marriage part, but also it can be related with the our family or others as well. And so when you take this kind of commitment, that means we have to live up to that. If someone is uh, we can't expect everybody behave well, and today's a nice day, and this my partner or my family will not have any negative feelings. That you expect, and when that happens, we have to once again accept that it's the manifestation of the suffering. It's not just something totally bad, and so that kind of a concept, I think, brings temporary self-liberation. You feel not only your tension is released, but also you feel not just you don't have to actually feel. If you are able to live up to that, other people feel you are the uh, uh, source of comfort. Someone they can talk about their suffering. Someone they can express their feelings. And so in Lojong mind training, Yung Chamba means the loving expression or practice of likable. Oh, this person get upset to you. There's family or somebody, or because as long as we have this negative feeling, it's impossible not to have a negative feeling towards others, because this is also a manifestation of our own negative feeling. And when you have that kind of feeling, you at least you could just think about like, oh, this person, no matter what he or she express, it's likable. She's or he is likable. Just like a mother have children, and it doesn't matter what child react or what kind of children she has, she always feel it's likable, our children, because of her unwavering love. So any practice in Buddhism, that you use your mind, different concepts, renunciation, compassion, loving kindness, uh, devotion, all of this can be, related with self-liberation. The moment you have the we call positive feeling, virtuous feeling, absolutely you feel a sense of liberation because you are taking the stress away from, stress. You're basically overcoming or transforming stress into virtuous actions. And then the opposite of that, let's say, virtuous actions or temporary self-liberation would be all the negativity that we just sharing. Basically, the statement that Shantideva mentioned in Bodhicitta is just so true. I mean, it's on the point because he has mentioned, he explained in his teaching saying that even though we want to be happy, we have desire to be happy, but because of ignorance, we conquer, we destroy our happiness like enemy. So when we really think about daily life, okay, I want to be happy, I want to be peace, I want to be, calm, but everything what we think about is focused on negative feelings. We are more like addicted with negative feelings than really in certain positive feelings. And expecting to have such calm mind and good life based on negative feelings, that is almost like a wishful thinking. That will never be the case because there's cause and the condition. If the cause is negative, the condition or the result will be also negative. Therefore, 10 virtuous actions or even chanting or visualization or compassion, anything you think of related with positive, it will infect your mind to be more free. But as long as we lose that sacredness of mind, then that's it. Then we basically digesting poison by poison, because there's a reason why they call poison about negative thoughts. Because negative, I mean, even you, excuse me, think of that word, affects you, except, if you, nowadays we have a pandemic going on, say negative, oh, you have tested negative, you'll be happy. But generally negative is like something that you don't really like it. So we call poison if you have a sense of anger, if you have a sense of jealous, if you have a sense of frustration, stress. It's all form of we call poison. And do in Tibet, which means poisoning your mind. So as long as you experiencing poison in your mind or negativity, so then it's very hard to experience happiness. And once if your mind is full of negative all day, and then the environment is also negative, and everything become negative. I think one of the support for negativity is constantly watching political news and whichever you like news, you pick that up, and then everything's opposite. There's so many support for frustration, anything what you do, and so that is, I would say, temporary self-liberation by thinking about virtuous actions, and then the second is actual, meditation with self-liberation. And It's really hard to teach, all this meditation stative self-liberation because you have to have some experience. But I would try to, connect with self-liberation using some of the, you know, teachings that I have heard from Rinpoche or read. Mm. That's not Coca-Cola. This water. I have two things. This is not Coca-Cola, but actually not that healthy either. Maybe ginger or something. And then meditative self-liberation is I would like to once again remind what Rinpoche expressed when I think some of you who did interview or I mostly hear or heard this from Rinpoche's interview advices for meditators. People ask Rinpoche various questions. One of the common question would be, how can I empty my mind? How can I really totally empty my mind? There's no thoughts whatsoever. Rinpoche's physical gesture or physical, expression is really, as usual, very impressive, and he just always sit straight, and then he would say, just like this, kind of look into the person's eyes, just and kind of it's almost like there's a pause. It's almost like he's clearing your mind or something. And he said, just like this. That's it. That's it. So he basically explained about meditation is that as long as you are in the process of, as long as you are in stress, as long as you are you're caught into stress or you have a lot of feelings. These feelings always would be either in the past or future. There's no feelings this very moment. That's how we kind of get the person. If you watch now, there's no. You are not stressed. You are not. There's no feeling. This very moment is very important. And but he said that sometimes it's hard to believe. People don't believe or trust in this very moment because they expect the meditation should be some kind of very exciting or very, very calm or such. But Rinpoche said, it's this very moment, this very present is, is the actual meditation. So, I don't remember, it's called self-liberation, but this very moment. And, excuse me. So how can we practice this very moment by using different methods? And I think we can explain many ways, but maybe I trying to explain or exercise this in three categories. And the first category I trying to relate with self-liberation is that we no matter what, we constantly having this feelings the moment you wake up until you go to bed, especially what's going on out there. And one of the technique is that you may not recognize very subtle negative feelings, but you definitely recognize, if somebody pressure our buttons, all of a sudden, we are not ready, we are not prepared, we are not prepared. All of a sudden, someone says something, doesn't really mean anything, it doesn't really do anything to us, but because of our fixation. And so you kind of get shocked, or if somebody says, "Oh my God, I can't believe this person says," and then you feel like overwhelmed. You just body language, totally changes. And at that time, the example would be like all of a sudden someone uh, drop a snake on you, or just a piece of wood with fire on you, or just what else would be? I think those are good examples, because and you won't just to cherish that. You just immediately drop it. You will immediately, you will not, oh, this is a snake, I will just to cherish it. You won't do that. You won't say, oh, this uh, oh, fire, I want to cherish. No, you won't do that. You're just shocked, just like if someone get upset all of a sudden. You're just shocked, and just let it go, like total drop right there. And that is using kind of a little bit of forceful method to experience the self-liberation or presence of your mind, because that kind of shocking thing, that kind of an unexpected thing can go directly to your presence of your mind, using a little bit of forceful way. You're shocked, and you just get upset. That's the or just maybe you are very happy. All of a sudden all of a sudden your lottery was working. Oh my God! Wow! Wow! And then just takes directly to your presence for your mind. If you get real upset, it takes directly presence for your mind, as long as, but it doesn't take your it doesn't help you to maintain presence of mind if you are totally controlled by that surprise of emotion, if you follow that. But if you know how to drop right that moment, you are in the presence of your mind. Then the second type of method for bringing our mind into presence is that if an individual have a if someone is very, very stressed, let's say very, very stressed the whole day, it can be with your work, it can be your family, or it just can be you. You're just stressed in your room yourself. So that doesn't need other conditions. And so stress is really drain all of your energy, all of your energy. And so maybe like you have lost in stress or frustration or thoughts whole day, but maybe at the end of the day, you feel, you maybe have some time to sit on your meditation. You sit on meditation, cushion, sit on meditation cushion. You feel, overwhelmed, very, very tired. You feel sense of, you almost want to lay it down. You want to go to bed right away. But it's actually very a crucial moment about, experience the presence of mind. If you have that kind of, totally exhaustion, you sit on your chair or cushion and watch your mind with that kind of exhaustion mind. And it's almost like helpless exhaustion, helpless feeling. But at the same time, if you watch your mind, you feel there's sense of also liberation at the side. So it takes directly to your presence of your mind. And and the next one, you may not use that if you are in public, or if you are in a family that doesn't support your practice. It has to, it connects with a little bit of vocal, which means that it does suggest in many teachings, especially in like Dzogchen teachings or Mahamudra teachings, that when Milarepa mentioned about different pure practice, the severing or cutting your thoughts, and he has said that cutting, let's say, toward the there are three aspects of pure practice, cutting your thoughts. And the first is when your mind is totally scattered, your thoughts everywhere. And then when you meditate, you are able to bring your mind back. Is the outer pure practice. And then giving your physical body, through visualization to all the all the demons or non-human beings is inner pure practice. And then cutting your thoughts, its own place is ultimate practice. So that means sometimes we practice like shouting like that, and I don't want to do that right to hear. But you're shouting a hit or like pick, like all of a sudden you have so everything going on, all of a sudden you just shouting a pick, and it cuts through your past and future, brings back to your presence, like you meditate. So this is you may read from the Mountain Dharma and also some of the Mahamudra practice, that if your environment is allows, sometimes it's good to say those pick, like vocal. And so basically, this brings you, they say chasing your thoughts away, but it actually brings your presence of mind into, presence. So I think those three things can be effective if you practice. Practice is the essence. First is the moment you have strong negative emotion or something like that, and you just drop right there and looking at your mind. That's number one. Number two is that you are working so hard, or you have so much emotion, depression all day, and then at the end you just rest. Before you fall to sleep, instead of you lay down, you are exhausted. You are end of your exhaustion of your body, and just you want to fall asleep. But before that, you just can watch your mind a little bit, and that brings your mind in presence. And then last is vocal, like sometimes you just shout at pay, and it's like I did, and so I think those three things may be beneficial. I have to say that it's beneficial because I'm teaching it. Otherwise, you will not bring me back again. But the previous one, what I said was like anything that is positive thought, anything, doesn't matter. You have little compassion, little tolerance, and little generosity. Anything that Buddha taught, like 10 virtuous actions you can think of, rather than just so lost into unnecessary ongoing negative karma, negative, just consistent negative karma, collecting negative karma, it's just never ending cycle. It's just very sad, and I feel sometimes regret when a lot of times I myself into this kind of environment myself, like, oh, I'm supposed to be better because I'm the one who's teaching. I did a retreat, but you lost for a while, and then you, I think it's there's nothing more sacred and profound than Dharma, because Dharma and it means not to harm yourself, not to harm others, and as long as we cannot reduce our own negative thoughts, there's no way we say that we don't hurt others, because that's the cause. All right, so I may just to stop there. I think I may give you opportunity to ask questions rather than myself. I don't know. All of a sudden, my English is not so good either. I never was. So you can please welcome whatever question you have, and I'll be here.
Oh, Rinpoche, your teaching is very good.
Every time you just say like that.
Thank you. My name is Lama Karma.
Lama Karma, how are you?
I'm good. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, maybe next. Whoever has questions, please. Any questions?
I have a question, Lama Karma.
Yes, madam.
So behind you, you said was that from the Vajra master who came to KTD and did the Karma Chakme?
He actually used this, there are 23 volumes or something, and he used this text to give the reading transmission, and he gave me this as a gift. He and I were, buddies when we were at the monastery, and I remember him, and then he went to retreat. Yeah, that's from him, and
So he read those are the ones he used in the monastery at that time.
This is the exact text he used, and then he gave that to me as a gift.
Wow.
I'm special.
I felt very fortunate to be able to be there during some of that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was very beautiful.
Yeah, it was really special that this whole collection would be read at his son's Kamapa seat, and that was historical, and that was the last chapter of Rinpoche, in person.
And the Vajra master was amazing, the way he never got tired and just kept going and going. For me, it was the first time I'd ever heard anything like that before. So it was really, really beautiful how he did that.
Yeah, he was, he's like meant to be. Rinpoche saw that. I think he saw that he's giving transmission, and then Rinpoche passed, and the Vajra master did everything, the 49-day puja and Rinpoche, meditation process. He did everything. So this is, I think, special aspirations they have that, it's beyond our common sense or something like that.
Like Rinpoche had a master plan almost.
Yeah, I felt the same thing. He planned it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lama Karma.
Yes,
It's
man.
Kay. Can you hear me?
I hear you clearly.
Great, thank you. So I'm wondering how the Vajra master trained to be able to do that reading transmission. How did he get to that? It was amazing. It was brilliant the way he did that. But I'm wondering how he got there, how he trained.
First of all, I think most of the monks could read pretty much like Vajra master did, because let's give myself an example of how I was trained by my father. He wanted me to only pronounce Tibetan for more than a year or maybe 2 years or something. No, not like a reading, but he wants me to pronounce, for example, like tashi dele paukarata tashi, but then like there's 3 stages when you learn Tibetan. The first stage is just only pronouncing, each words and the stacks, and normally sometimes if you don't train well, they just jump onto reading, which doesn't really improve. So my father taught me with a lot of blessing from him. Sometimes let us think, here. So my father was my teacher, and he was very restricted. So we just read like special. They are very special way to train. So what the master is no different. His reading teacher was quite well known, and he had many disciples, and so it don't really have special method just to become automatic. It's just like in our country, people read English pretty well, and some read fast.
Kama, I have a question for you too.
Yes, sir.
In regards to the method you taught us just now, what I find what happens mostly is that, like in a family situation or something, the reaction comes to something, to an event where we act angry or something. I'm so obviously so trained in this sort of bad reaction. What happens, I understand that there's a way to experience it, or to, you said, almost be able to drop it at the moment when it arises, but I always feel like I'm already gone a little bit further where I'm so much in it. So what would you say then when you I guess you're at a point where you already reacted in a way too late?
Very easy, because I'm teaching how to say this. Very easy. Don't follow the feeling, but follow the moment. That very moment. It doesn't matter how you feel. You don't care how you feel, but that very moment. This is the momentum. It's momentum. Even though, of course, there's some like what's it called, foot. how do you say, there's, you may feel something left, like when you go into snow, this, what do you call it?
Footprints.
Yeah, footprints. Maybe you feel like, oh, there's some bad feeling prints left.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the part that we always lost the momentum, because that when you try to be in that presence, you feel, oh, okay, it's not working because I still feel, some, the strongness, right? I still feel that. So you basically following that feeling rather than be in that very moment. So don't follow the feeling, be in the moment. Maybe it's a little bit, doesn't make sense, but if you do that, because this very moment, it doesn't matter. This very moment, it doesn't, the feeling in this very moment, it doesn't connect. Feeling is feeling, whatever feeling you are. So as long as you feel, oh, it's still there, I feel still there, then you are not in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But one of the Rinpoche's suggestion was that, of course, meditation techniques are very productive, but he says always, the most effective practice or method would be, any practice would be impermanence,
Mm-hmm.
impermanence, because let's say how many hours do we have in a day, and how many hours do we dedicate for gathering accumulation of merit, or how many hours do we gathering accumulation of negative karma. And that's very obvious. We mostly use our mind just because impermanence means you constantly checking moment by moment, right? Constantly checking, or actually, 10 minutes ago I wasted.
Mm-hmm.
So you become the analyzer.
Mm-hmm.
You become an analyzer. What did I do 10 minutes? It just totally wasted. 1 hour ago I got upset. I still hold on. I can't believe I still, supposed to practice in Dharma. Where am I? So impermanence is really, really good. That's why Milarepa said, think about impermanence 3 times. And it's interesting because I do watch Netflix. Okay, I do watch YouTube, and it is those episodes. Actually they are very good, because as long as you practice Dharma, all the stories, what's going on in the movie, everything become part of that training. So there's one, movie, or like, couple, let's say 2 friends become really, they just like this, right? They just against each other, and then later on the other person just all of a sudden realized that, you never know. The other person was his best friend, so they just have a very little clash, and then they're thinking, oh, he's the bad, he's the bad. And all of a sudden he realized, and then he went to the other person and said that it doesn't matter what happened, it's just gone. And life is precious. You never know when we lose the loved ones, and if I lose you without saying, apologizing you, I will, my life would be miserable. So he said, I don't care what happened before. It's just this very moment is very important. I don't want to regret. I thought that kind of story was very, very nice, because especially like family condition is that we expect, it's just another day, but it's not really another day. It is very special day. You never know, next day anything could happen, right? And we don't mean like, they want to, we don't mean that I want to have conflict with the family, but it's just we are just so accustomed, we are just so habituated with this way, so we just don't know how to fix, or we don't want to fix or such. But as long as we impermanence, okay, this morning I feel good. This morning, woke up and I didn't get upset until lunchtime. I feel this liberation, feeling so good, right? So you did not accumulate negative karma. Let's forget about meditation, but being a person. But if you just this morning got up and then you have conflict, just constantly having this grinding each other and then exhausted and then lunchtime. I mean, once you are going to this for a long time, then continuation. So anyway, I think impermanence is really important. And yeah, so to answer your question, I have some problem. I get upset, then I feel like, oh, this is low battery. Really, it's just low battery, or maybe me or the iPad. It happens to me a lot, and then I feel like, oh, okay, let's don't follow the feeling, but let's follow the moment. You just be in that moment. It doesn't care what feeling you have. It's just just another. But you just be in that moment, not in that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I think my iPad is saying that low battery, and I think we have 10:20 pretty good, and maybe I will close this, and I would like to. Sorry.
Lama, come on. There's Lisa. I think she wanted to ask a question quickly, if that's okay.
Okay, one quick question. I got 10 seconds.
That's okay.
10 minutes.
If it's too late, that's okay.
No.
Okay,
please,
real quick.
Please.
Okay. Is all anger equal? Does that make sense?
All anger equal.
Equal. So the goal is not to get angry because it's bad karma. So, but is it different in different situations, or is it all bad? You understand? That makes sense.
Yeah, I understand, but I think there's sometimes, for example, like I have family, right? I have son, and he's or more than 1 year old, but you could train him. you could actually, I noticed that you could train him. So when he does something that I don't like, and I'm not angry, angry, but I show the frowning face, pretend I'm angry, and he gets that. I don't think that's related to what you have said, but the anger itself never encouraged. It's, let's say, oh, you should get angry because such the anger itself. But you could still show the forceful, wrathful kind of appearance, but out of compassion.
Okay.
But as long as but if you just really get angry, just actual anger is not suggested. So maybe another word, maybe all angers are equal. For example, like if you you want to have justice, right? Something happening in political way, and you want to protest, but you don't really have to get angry.
Right.
You just have to, just I hope everybody go, and maybe you have to go protest, or you do it, but doesn't have to totally get really angry, something.
Right. You do it in a positive way.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for. Oh, what did I do? That's interesting. Do you see me?
Your name.
No.
Okay. Oh, here we go. All right. So I would like to thank to everybody, Santa Monica KTC, and all the participants, and giving me the opportunity to, do some mumbo jumbo.
Thank you, Lama Karma.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. And I would like to do the dedication prayer, quick one. Sonandaya Tangje Sibanya Tane Dana Banzeni Jegana Jebala Trubaya Sibu Solendova Dora Shon Jambala Power Jidrajim Kanda Zombo Tayan Tayan de Tela and Jisa Dala to give on the Latam Jira Tongo Sanju Sanorumba Machi Panachi Jibanyamba Mebado Kone Konda Pewa Show. Sorry, next time I will have full battery, but I tell you, I checked earlier, it was actually 80. I thought that is more than enough, but next time I will have 100%, 110.
Thank you, Lama. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Lama
See ya.
Karma.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone.
Good night, good dream,
night.
good meditation.
Thank you.